Hey guys, I'm gonna be opening the Commander Dungeons and Dragons set, I guess. I've got four of them. Not gonna really do them in a specific order. Uh, Not much else to say other than that. I mean, I'm recording this a little bit after I did the other set. I'm kind of trying to figure out. I don't want to rip this open too much and then break the box because I like to keep them. There we go. Um, but I mean, it looks like a fun set. It doesn't have anything that I think is gonna break the format. Maybe some cool cards, but nothing too terrible. Uh, for the most part, I mean, everything inside the box, this whole box, is in this little tiny box. See, it's like this. And they have like this weird card on the front that's like slightly oversized that you can't really use. Whatever that is. Uh, some instructions and pretty much the deck list, and then you get a little life counter here. Every single one of them is going to come with it in the color of the set, basically. And there's the commander. Commander looks kind of nice. Pretty much a dragon that makes other dragons whenever he's dealt damage, and then they sacrifice themselves when they deal damage. So it's not like super overpowered, but you can make them pretty cool. Well, I guess we'll see how these decks are though in a second. So the commander, I already know the commander. This is the other commander basically you can play it as. It's also a dragon, and then something about you making a bunch of mana whenever you attack. So this is actually kind of like there's like a similar 6 mana one that makes six like 3 green and 3 red whenever it attacks. So it's actually much like that, but you can do any color combination. Uh, so it can be used in more decks. That can just like as long as the deck can run green and red, it can run that. Barbarian class works pretty good with the commander since you're going to be rolling a lot of dice. Is what I can tell. This one is kind of a weird one for commander. I get like the each player sacrificing a permanent, and it works well with his ability because if you use it though, you'll always get the 5/4 to sacrifice, so it's not the end of the world. Um, Remove a counter from it, add 2 mana different colors. Okay, so like you kind of have to work for the counters. It's a little weird. It's a weird one. It's interesting. I mean, you make 2 mana, but you gotta tap it the turn before, so that's one of the new mana rocks they're trying to push. This is a D12 whenever it attacks, so that one's pretty cool. It does counters. Uh, for the most part, anger is just the haste if it's in the graveyard or on the field. Dragon spells cost less. It works really well with the commander, obviously, because you get them out 2 turns earlier. Ryle lets you deal 1 damage to your own creature. Worked in Ixalan, so it's actually kind of got an enrage ability, much like Ixalan cards did. Uh, Beast, Beast Within is a great removal. Colossal Majesty is also good for card draw in this deck. Cultivate, Explore. Garruk's Uprising is another great card draw effect. So you've got some card draw, some removal for the most part. See, this is what I was talking about earlier. They actually added it, which makes sense. It's a dragon as well, but it adds 3 green and 3 red whenever it attacks. And the mana, you don't lose the mana. Arcane Signet's a good reprint. They just need to print that a million times. New art for Commander Sphere. I like that. Roll Signet. I like that as well. It's a good card. I mean, just the signets. I think they needed a reprint. So I'm glad they're starting to do that. Heirloom. I think you need a creature that shares a type with it. Yeah. So you'll either get a barbarian or a dragon. If you equip this to your commander. Soul Ring. It's always going to be in stuff just like Command Tower now. Those like 3 cards they can just get freebies on printing now is Arcane Signet, Command Tower, and Soul Ring. Because now everyone wants to do it. Um, Desert's pretty cool here actually, because you can deal damage to your own creature. Nothing too crazy there. Another dragons are cheaper spell here. Some mountains. Kind of weird they just placed them there. Um, this just like lets you roll d20s and choose how things attack and block. So that works really well with the commander. something about rolling dice. I mean, there's just some big dragons in rolling dice. For the most part, this deck's pretty self-explanatory. You just like are trying to attack a bunch, roll a bunch of dice. Very much the barbarian class kind of rolling dice and attacking, and then making a bunch of big attackers. This one was kind of cool, bag of tricks. But you do need 8 different converted mana costs from like 1 to 8. So I mean, that's if you want to always hit with it. Each player chooses an oh, that's kind of cool actually. Druid of Purification works well, destroying each of an opponent's choice of an artifact or enchantment. Indomitable might not that great. I think it could see play in some decks, just as like a way to finish the last bit of damage for combat for your commander. Um, Nothing too crazy here. A lot of really big spells. I just don't know if you're really going to be getting that. Um, 5 or more damage. This one's actually pretty cool. I like that. There's a lot of decks actually I would probably be playing that in. I actually have a Trample Tribal. Ironically, it works so well in it. It's actually kind of funny. There's actually been a couple of Trample Tribal support cards recently. It's kind of weird. They're not trying to, I don't think, but it is kind of a weird green-red like support they've been doing recently. It makes sense though. Dealing damage. Melee was kind of a cool thing. Hellkite, I don't know if it really should be mythic. It's flash and flying, but it's 8 mana. You could just win the game for 8 mana, to be honest. Demanding Dragon, I mean, that's kind of a weird one to add in here because it was never really good in Commander. Like, it deals 5 damage to an opponent. Like, that's just an eighth of their health. It's not that bad. Dragon Master Outcast is cool. I like that one. Of course, it's a mythic. Um, this one's great for this deck, dealing double damage. I don't know, this one's kind of a weird one. This isn't an artifact deck. You would think that the artifact dragon would be in an artifact deck, but it was in the last set's artifact deck, but not this one. Or well, this one doesn't have one, but I mean it's just kind of weird to have it. Because normally it would probably just be a 6 mana 5/5. Magma Quake is kind of cool because it works with your commander wanting to be dealt damage and all the dragons you have. Sorry, I have a hard time breathing whenever am doing these videos for some reason. I probably need to just calm down. Uh, it was a good like exile card at the beginning of your upkeep, and you get to play it. For the most part, this deck you're playing a lot of big dragons. I thought this was a lot less dragon tribal and a lot more just attacking and stuff than I thought it would be, but apparently it's very, very into dragons. That's why I was not too, or that's why I was a little confused why they added the oh, what is it called? Path of Ancestry, but I can see why now. There's a lot of I mean, Kindred Summons is awesome, but you need like a lot of tokens or a lot of ways to just put a crap ton of dragons on the field for this to really do anything. I just don't think this deck's going to be doing it. Rishkar's Expertise is awesome. Some card draw. Atarka, World Render is awesome in this deck. I like that. Dragon's Horde makes sense to print. Um, Cinderglade's cool. I always like that card. Crucible of Spirit Dragon was. I don't remember it ever being anything crazy. Exotic Orchard doesn't really make much sense in a 2-color deck. It's usually 3 or above. But it's a nice reprint. Game Trail. It's alright. It's kind of like the Snarls, I'm pretty sure, right? Because the Snarls are the opposite colors of these. Heaven of the so there's some weird dragon lands. Hideaway is cool, and then it gives you a whole bunch of the D&D basic lands, and I actually do like these the way they look. They have the text on them. Very cool. And then you got the tokens, and they're double-sided, so uh, and whatever that is. There's a Monarch card in here apparently. I guess I missed that. A lot of the dragon spirits. In fact, you get 10 dragon spirits, and everything else is the other dragon tokens, which you're going to need, of course, and then the beast tokens. And then you finally got one at the end, a monarch token, which is cool. I like it. It's a cool deck. Um, Doesn't really matter what order I put these in. I'm going to be shuffling them up in a sleeves pretty soon to test them out. So not in this video, but I don't think I'm going to be making a video about that. So I'll put those over there so we can check out the next one, which is, and I'll put this down here. Just going to move the box so I can start working on the next one. And that is Aura of Courage. Let's move the deck all the way over here. So Aura of Courage. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard to see these, so we're just going to get into the cards. That's the most important bit, anyways. Let's see. Just strip that off and get started. I do like the way the scales, like they put for the design on the box, look. Get you a look at it while I'm opening it up. And for the most part, it's gonna have everything else the other one did, except the deck is different, obviously. And the color's different. This is more of like a green, blue, and a little bit of white, I think. Um, Basic counters and junk. Just junk. If you know how to play the game, it's pretty much junk. And if you already know what's in the deck, you might as well just put it in the recycle. That's usually what I do. Um, but then when you get to the deck, don't put this in the recycle. That would be sad. Um, so you can get for this one, you can cast the top card of your library if it's an aura or equipment, and then well, you can look at the top card of your library at any time. Obviously, that's kind of a given if you're gonna have that kind of effect. But if you do get equipment from it, you can just attach it to a creature you control. Usually, probably be your commander. Um, and it is a Bant, which is kind of an interesting one. I don't know why Evolving Wilds is the card on the front they really wanted to show off. The also the commander can change the power and toughness of a creature when it enters the battlefield or attack. So it kind of works well with the like the theme of the deck, but it isn't exactly something I'd want as my commander. I'd rather have something like a way to pump up my commander with it rather than it being my commander. Um, you can destroy a target permanent with this if you roll a D10 or a D6 and you get X counters and you can destroy a permanent. That's kind of cool. I like that. But usually it's just a 4 mana 4/4, so it could be pretty bad. But it could be pretty good. So there's that. This is an interesting tapped colorless artifact. You can make a little fly thing. Oh, it gives another creature flying. Okay, that's why it's good. And then also the Sword of Hours was in the last one. I'll have to try to manage to do this right because I don't want to. It's kind of hard to keep track of all these. Okay. Angelic Gift's always good, especially if you're casting on the top. It's like a free card draw for this deck. Gives a creature flying, gift a boon. Very much like this, but you can with Angelic Gift, but you can return it to your hand. Or put it back, or not to your hand, but return it from your graveyard to a creature you control, and then you can only activate it as a sorcery. But it's still good if you have a ways to like get enchantment ETBs or things like that from it. It's pretty good. Um, some removal. It's actually pretty good removal. Getting a creature indestructible is a way to save your creature, and destroying a big powered creature can save your butt sometimes. Brainstorm's always good, especially because you're gonna want to manipulate the top of your deck. Uh, Curse of Verbosity is cool. Just because you can draw a lot of cards with it and make people want to attack another player. I think it's probably one of the better curses, other than the treasure one's pretty good, but not as good. And then the one that makes the tutus is good. Isn't there also, there's actually another one that untaps your lands, I think. So that one, I don't know. The curses were pretty decent, actually. I thought they were not that great when I first saw them, but I've changed my mind recently about them. I'm just going to put that there. I gotta do this little by little because it's just so heavy. Um, I know it's cardboard, but it is heavy, guys, okay? Totem armor, goading creatures is cool. This guy seems like kind of a weird one. Oh, but he does brainstorm you, so that actually makes sense. Scrying 2 helps you out manipulating the top of your deck. Fixing your mana and drawing you cards can be pretty good. Acidic Slime's a good target for equipment a lot of times if they're getting first strike or double strike, and it also destroys a land, enchantment, or artifact. Always welcome. Fertile Ground's a good ramp spell in this. Kenrith's transformation is a great Turn your creature into something useless removal spell, so that's nice. Um, Nature's Lore is kind of a cool one. I like this card a lot, especially because it puts the forest card. It doesn't have to be a basic, and it puts on the battlefield. So you don't. So it's actually like 2 mana, but you get a sorry, 2 mana, but you get a mana back, so it works out in the end. Oh man, my throat is just gone. Paradise Druid, that's good. I guess the nice thing is if you can keep it with Vigilance, it's always gonna have hexproof. So there is equipment that would work really well with it. Rancor is an awesome inclusion because it works really well with this deck, but also just like in Pauper. There's a lot of decks that like this card a lot. I mean, I just like it a lot because if it goes to the graveyard, you instantly get it back to your hand. If it's from the battlefield, you can't just discard it and keep drawing. Utopia Sprawl, another ramp, more ramp. Um, Bant Charm, you can counter a instant spell, which can kind of help you. It's not really the greatest. You put a target creature on the bottom of its library, so pretty much just removal, or you destroy an artifact. So it's not terrible. That's good actually. Getting a +2/+2 trample and lifelink is nice. Then I don't know about this one. This one's just it gives it can't be the oh yeah, it's like hexproof basically. So 3 mana, draw a card and give a creature hexproof, so it's not that bad. Arcane Signet's good. Colossal Hammer works really well because if you can put it on top of your deck, cast it, and with your commander, you can instantly equip, and that usually is gonna kill someone really. Explorer's Scope's alright. Face Seed, I don't know if I've seen this one. Attacks, another attacking creature gets indestructible. Whenever a creature or planeswalker you control becomes a target of a spell or ability, draw a card. Okay, that's not too bad. Giving a creature double strike works really well in this deck and probably can kill people instantly. Uh, oh, and you get to put an aura from your hand, especially with the double strike. This is pretty crazy. It works really well in this deck. Let's see, there we go. Oh, this returns all your enchantments and equipment from your graveyard equipped to it, and it gets +1/+1. That's kind of insane. Robe of the Stars is oh, it phases out. That's great. Actually, that works really well with the deck. Another protection spell. That's actually what this deck needs. I feel like it's helping out the archetype for equipment and artifact. Like basically a go tall strategy very well. They kind of needed this some of this support. And then something about destroying each creature with power greater or equal to the number of the result. So something about destroying all creatures and making a bunch of creatures. So there's decks that like that. I don't know if this deck would though. Card draw, evasion. Giving it base toughness 10 and or power and toughness 10 and 10 is pretty good, and it works really well with the other equipment being attached to it. Um, Returning permanents to your hand. This is a new commander, but I don't know if it's all right. I mean, it's not really doesn't really work too well for this deck, but I can see it being played. I think this people said this was going to be broken, but they were talking about it being like Flash, but you cast a spell as if it had Flash. You still have to pay its mana cost. Doesn't get sacrificed like Flash. Flash just literally puts it in play and then it sacrifices it immediately. So that card's just busted. Because just 2 mana, sometimes you just win the game. Uh, Excellent cards from graveyard. Kind of a weird thing to do in this set, but I get it. Pure Steel Paladin was actually getting pretty expensive for a while. That was a harder card to get. There we go. Yeah, that was a harder one to get for a while. Destroy all non-giants. I don't know if the commander is a giant. Let's see. They might be. They're probably a giant. Nope, they're an elf knight. So that doesn't make any sense why you'd have a destroy all giant one, but whatever. It's a big creature. Saram is a great card for it. Um, Winds of Wrath actually is really good. This is more of a board wipe I would expect in this kind of deck. Imprison in the Moon was another really good way to turn your opponent's commander into a land. Not even a colored land, just a land. So that's pretty cool. And the Sphinx, he does Sphinxy things. Greater Good. Uh, This always was actually pretty good because this is a quick way to like just sacrifice your board, and sometimes some decks would just probably do this just to empty out, like put the top of their deck into the graveyard basically. They wouldn't even care if it was like a zero. Like if it was like a one power creature, it's just basically put a card from the top of your deck into the graveyard. Decks would like that. So this is always actually pretty good. Card. Heroic Intervention was getting up there. It was like $10 at a certain point. There's a lot of decks that need this. Just protect all your stuff for 2 mana is awesome. It doesn't help from Cyclonic Rift Overloaded, but I mean, there's not much that can help you there, really. Except for Teferi's Protection, but that's literally it, just phasing out. But you get to keep your stuff, though. That's the nice thing about it. So, um, a bunch of just nice creatures to equip, some equipment that give you Death Touch and Lifelink. Masterwork of Ingenuity was great because you get to copy an equipment, so that was always good. Uh, Moonsilver Spear is cool. Sword of the Animus is cool. Some decent lands like Canopy Vista is good. Fortified Vista, another like uh, port town, and then it should be and Prayer Stream's good. So this has a lot of good lands. The three color decks usually are always good with that. Swiftfoot Boots has some new art. I kind of prefer the old ones, but at the same time, this one also doesn't look like the person's foot is just on fire. This one looks like they're just so fast that it's on fire. Like the other ones just look like they were hot, you know? Just like hot foot boots. Um, this one's not as good. I don't know why they really included this, to be honest, other than the death touch thing. But some lands, bunch of lands. Was it a creature land? Oh yeah, Mishra's Factory for some reason is in here. That's a weird one. I feel like with being three colored, you wouldn't want to run all these like colorless lands, but I didn't make the deck, so I don't know. And there's a commander again, nice thick card, and that is that deck. Time to go to the next one. Let's see. We're halfway done, guys. Oh man. Um, I like opening these up. Um, Definitely a lot slower to open up the commanders than I thought, but I've been taking my time a little bit more than I used to with them. I forgot about the counters on the side too, but I don't really think they matter because I have so many different counters. I'll be fine. This isn't going back in. There we go. It wasn't going back in. Sorry, guys. Uh, had to explain it to you twice. I don't know why. But I did. So we're gonna open up this one again and get rid of all the stuff we don't want. In case I wanted to steal it, here's a little tag. And then we'll get straight into the commander. Opening it up, seeing how it is. Um, I mean, I like the decks to be honest. I think they'll play a lot more fun and fair against each other than I feel like the last ones did. Because the politic one just did not work that well, like one on one. I feel like I like it when cards can be one on one playable, but also commander playable. Because when they can only be played in like a one person game, it's fine, I guess. It's not really designed for commander, and you can balance it around that. Uh, but when you do it for like each opponent, it has to also be good if you're doing it to just one person. Like it needs to scale up with the amount of opponents you have. That's at least how I feel. Like if you're gonna make your opponents discard two, right? Like each one, no matter what you cast it for, is always gonna make one opponent discard two. So you're always gonna kind of want to play it, you know? I mean that's just my thoughts. I don't know. I just feel like, that's just my thing. Oh jeez, my ears just got burst by something. Xbox, something drive. Uh, so I actually can't remember. This one's the ones where you cast from the top of your, or from exile, you make a treasure token, and then at the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You can play that card. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then tap target creature and goad it. Um, or whenever you attack a player, tap target creature that player's control and goad it. When an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and the attacking player each draw a card and lose a life. Okay, I'll take it. Warlock class works pretty well in this. This is a lot of exile, so it's a lot of cards I'm already pretty familiar with. Um, oh, okay, life to equal to the power plus its toughness. Oh, I see. So you have some suspend cards, some spectacle, or well, this doesn't actually work with spectacle, but the main thing about this one is the putting the top two into exile. Um, and I guess you're gonna want to attack with a lot of creatures too. I love Throws of Chaos. I feel like this card should be played a lot more than it is. This guy also works actually, now that I think about it, pretty well with Cascade, huh? Vandal Blast was something I kind of wanted a reprint of. Another Cascade card. Rakdos Charm's pretty cool. Terminate's pretty cool. Arcane Signet. Commander Sphere. Bunch of artifacts that produce mana. A lot of artifacts that produce mana. That was like 10 artifacts. I mean, it makes sense for this deck, but you usually don't see precons putting so many artifact ramp. But it is black red. It kind of needs it. Bajuka Bog's pretty cool. Um, just some lands, and then something about exiling and then returning things that are exiled. So there's like a lot of like destroy stuff and return it from the graveyard as well. So it has a bit of like a graveyard recursion in it. So that's pretty cool. Gonna go on to the next part. When this permanent, okay, until end of turn, permanents your opponent's control gain. When this permanent deals damage to a player who casts this card, sacrifice this permanent you lose to. Ooh, that's actually really cool. I actually like that. That could be pretty interesting. Um, so there's like a new commander, like a devil. I haven't seen this one. Oh, okay. So if you destroy your opponent's creatures, but while this is on the field, you can just get them back. That's kind of cool. I might actually build a deck around this. Might be my new mono black commander. Just destroy everything and then have him come out, so I can just like board wipe and get something from it. This is like a weird one. It gets +2/+0 in reach. Deals damage to player or planeswalker. Okay. Yeah, they have a couple of these like choose two result, like roll two dice and choose two results. I like this one, dealing X damage to like one of the D12s to each creature, and then another one you make that many treasures. So that's pretty cool. Share the spoils. So I'm guessing this is like exiling cards and playing it from other people's decks. Um, Rebound works a lot well. Works pretty well with that. Chittering Witch is kind of a weird one. I don't know if I'd put that in this. I feel like they're going too much for a reanimation or like token strategy when they should have gone for more of the exile shenanigans and playing from other opponents' stuff. Let's see. Ooh, ooh, wow. There we go. Focused. I like Dead Man's Chest. That one's always a fun card. Um, Gonti Lord of Luxury is exactly what I'm talking about. You just exile your opponent's like top four or one of the four cards from the opponent's top four, and then you get to cast it at any time with any mana color. Hex is kind of cool, destroying six creatures. I always kind of like that card, but I feel like it doesn't see that much play. See, like Marionette Master doesn't really make much sense here, but I'll accept it. Actually, it does make sense because you're sacrificing all these treasures. Okay, that one I can go back on my word, and that one makes sense. Ogre Slumlord was actually getting pretty expensive there for a sec because he works really good with the Taste of Karlov build. Has like a weird rat theme all of a sudden. Oh, this one's cool. Getting all creatures extort is awesome. Just if you have a crap ton of mana, which you usually do in mono black or black white, and then you can just like if you use Cabal Coffers and you cast a spell, you can just get like all your creatures to just pay one, pay one, pay one, pay one, pay one, and now you're just killing your opponent. Apex of Power works really good with the commander. Chaos Warp's a cool removal. Commune with Lava, I didn't think it was that good, but it probably works better in this deck anyways. Uh, Sacrificing a creature to, I guess I can kind of see why this would be with the creature making and sacrificing for your deck. Direfleet Daredevil works well. I don't get the goading. I feel like the goading doesn't really work too well with this, but I guess you kind of do need to be set up. Atali works great with this commander. So there's a few cards, but then there's like random ones where it's just like um, you get to exile instants and sorceries with this guy. I like him a lot. Um, Devil's a cool removal. Theater of Horror works well. Chaos Wand's awesome. We got a bunch of lands. I'm pretty sure we're just gonna have lands for the rest of it. Yeah. But I just feel like they mashed up the commander with the secondary commander. That's what I was noticing. I kind of didn't really read into it, but like I feel like they put too much goad and exiling stuff and sacrificing stuff in one deck. I feel like the sacrifice stuff and the exiling like the top card of someone's library and playing it worked really well together. But I just feel like the goading just seemed kind of extra and not really necessary or good. Because goad's never really been that great of a ability, to be honest with you. Like usually when people play goad cards, it doesn't affect the board that much, and a lot of times there aren't many people attacking. Like you could end up at a table where no one's attacking, and then like it doesn't have any creatures. So what's your goad gonna do? You know, like oh, I'm gonna make you attack with all zero of your creatures. It's usually just a thing I've noticed while playing those decks. Maybe I'm just unlucky with them, but I'll just complain while I can. And this is the last one. I think the purple looks awesome, even though it's not even a color. And like on the color pie, it's kind of funny. Uh, that was gonna be the sixth color they were gonna put in like a set as like a to switch up things, but they decided against it. I think the five color works. I think adding one more color completely changes the game way too much. Cause like imagine if you wanted to do like all the colors in the deck now, you would need a whole nother color. Then you have to consider all the different color combinations you can add because of that. So like these are the tokens. I'm just gonna switch through them. I didn't look at the other ones, but they're mostly just true tokens. And this one's about dungeons, so you do get the dungeons. I don't know which dungeon you would do the most, but we'll see when we're looking through the deck. So when more creatures are put into a graveyard from anywhere, into your graveyard from anywhere, venture into the dungeon. It only triggers once each turn. So, whenever you complete a dungeon, return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's pretty cool. For 3 mana, it works really well. Uh, Nihilor is a horror guy that when you attack with a creature an opponent controls, you gain 2 life, and that player loses 2. That's pretty cool. When it enters the battlefield for each opponent, tap up to one untapped creature you control. When you do, gain control of target creature that player controls with power less than or equal to the number or to the tapped creature's power for as long as you control him. So wait, when he enters the battlefield for each opponent, tap up to one untapped creature I control. Okay, so you just have to. So like, if I have like big creatures though, if they have big creatures, I want to take their big creatures though. I don't know how that one would work that well, but we'll see. I guess teleportation circle works pretty well with him. Um, this is the new turn the other person's commander into a treasure. At least you can sacrifice it and get rid of it. That's the only thing I like about that for sure. But it is good. It's pretty flexible removal. I mean, I like it a lot actually. I just mean like the only thing I like about that kind of thing is like if they're gonna do it, at least make it so you can get rid of your commander, so you don't have to like just be sitting there. Because there's some decks that don't do too much without their commander. They play a lot of like ways to protect it, but if you can't protect it once, I don't think you should be punished for the rest of the game. Double triggers on room abilities. Just like my deck tech for my uh, Forgotten Realms cube. This one's pretty good. Or not cube. Sealed. It was pretty good. So I'm guessing we're gonna have a lot of like. See, this guy's pretty cool. I say he'd be really good for like once you get them to 6 and then sacrifice him or something to get him back and then monstrosity him. It's pretty good. I don't know how this is gonna be. I think I'd have to see, but it's very much like Coalition Relic, but I feel like Coalition Relic's better because you have more of a choice. And it works better with Proliferate as well, but that one doesn't. Actually, that one does kind of, but it's just not as well. Sacrifice it, destroy target enchantment. Yeah, that's an alright one. Oh shoot, I almost said the other S word. Not like I haven't cursed already. I think I said crap. I already said it again. Swords to Plowshare. This is actually probably one of my favorite arts, just because of how like symbolic and like it just looks really cool. Like this looks like a piece of art. You know what I mean? Wall of Omens is cool. I don't know if it would be that great in this deck, but Forbidden. Oh, actually, does this have to be? Oh yeah. So as long as a card's put into your graveyard from anywhere, so you could use Forbidden Alchemy to do that pretty well. Um, draw a card and discard a card works awesome. Mole Drifter, so all the evoke creatures work well. Whenever another creature dies, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. That's kind of interesting. Propaganda, I like Propaganda a lot. One of my favorite spells, just because I play a lot of blue decks that people want to kill you with. Plague Crafter works. Shambling Skeleton's pretty cool. Shriek Maw's the other evoke creature I was talking about would work well. So this has like a reanimation thing for sure because of Unburial Rites. Victimize is also really awesome. Cloud Blazer is one of those enter the battlefield cards that you'll want the most. Despark is a great removal piece. Black White is some crazy removal nowadays with getting rid of permanents. This one's cool because you can sacrifice it not on your turn and it'll trigger your venture into the dungeon. Draw a card, discard a card is always good and has a reanimation on it. Exile target creature. You draw cards equal to the creature's power. At the beginning of your next end step, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner control. If you do, discard cards equal to that creature's toughness. That works pretty well with some of the cards in here, though, because you might want to do a Mole Drifter. You draw two, discard one. I mean, it works pretty well, I'd say. Arcane Signet, not much to say about it. Burnish Heart works well because you're going to be sacrificing this anyways. Commander Sphere is cool. Uh, oh yeah, you get to tap something for as long as this is like, as long as you like pay the 4 mana, tap this, you get to just tap another permanent. It loses all abilities and can't block or attack, which is awesome. Um, Flying Lifelink 3/6, and then another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control. You venture into the dungeon. Discard it and then venture into the dungeon. Gain 3. That's pretty cool, actually. I like that card. I kind of wish that was in standard. uh, ooh, okay. Um, this one returns cards from your graveyard to your hand, or if you get a 15 or plus, it's and you add the number of creatures in your graveyard that would put there from the battlefield this turn. So your whole thing is like, oh man, what is it? So if all your creatures die or whatever, you like say you have like 10 creatures die, you roll a d20 and then you add the result. So if you have to get like a 5 or higher, you get to return all those creatures that died from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's pretty cool. Whenever you attack, investigate. Oh, this is an interesting one. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, venture into the dungeon. That one is a cool one. I like that. A lot of cool venture into the dungeon support. Um, can't really. These are just like card draw spells. Oh, okay. Well, this one, whenever an illusion you control dies, you may put a permanent with card with a converted mana cost uh, less than or equal to that creature's power from your hand onto the battlefield. That's pretty insane. Uh, so this is the one where you have to you flash, you exile a creature you control until it leaves, and then whenever it attacks, you make that creature, and it gets rid of it at combat. So that's kind of cool. It's good for ETB effects. Um, Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, exile instead of putting it in its owner's graveyard, and then you can X and then cast any number of spells from among the exile cards with total mana cost X or less without paying their mana cost. So that's pretty cool. I think I would do that. There's some decks I would go crazy with that. Roll 2d10s and choose one result. Return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a number. Oh wait, does this have to be sacrificed? Yeah, it has to be sacrificed. Darn. Okay. Um, So you just return a creature and stuff like that. Whenever equipped a creature attacks or is blocks it, whenever a equipped creature attacks or blocks it and zombies you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. When a creature equipped deals combat damage to a player, create that many 2/2 zombies. That's cool. Target opponent chooses X cards from their hand. Look at those cards, and you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. That's really awesome. Creatures you control can't be blocked except by legendary creatures. When one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. Cataclysm Gearhulk works well with him, making everyone sacrifice. Plane cycling works well with him or her. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I'm gonna say them. Uh, works well with them because they venture into the dungeon. This one's a cool one. I actually really wanted the guide. Getting creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield's cool. But it has an echo cost. But it does work well with the venture into the dungeon. Sun Titan, cool. All tapped creatures getting destroyed is pretty nice. Usually, because it's going to be your turn, it's going to be all your opponent's creatures. For 6 mana, it's pretty good. Champion of Wits, I like that card. Cycling. Oh, Phantasmal Image is in here. Oh my god. Yeah, that's a good card. Yeah, there's nothing else to say other than that. Doom Necromancer, it triggers his ability, but also returns a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Always going to be a good card. Uh, Necro, something selection, you just destroy all the creatures, and then you get a creature that was destroyed that way to the battlefield, and it's a black zombie. Ashen Rider, oh wow. When it enters the battlefield or dies, you exile a permanent. I've used this in decks where I ramp out to it, exile their lands, and then they never recover. Baleful Strix, I'll take it. Hostage Taker is another card I would add to it. Utter End is an insane card. Solemn Simulacrum. I'm gonna be honest, this is probably my best or my favorite deck from all of it. We're on the lands now, so there's not much to talk about it, but this works great with it. Each player draws a card and then discards a card. There's so many decks that play that. The lands are pretty nice. I guess there's a couple cards. There's Meteor Golem, not much to say about it other than destroying a non-land permanent. Wayfarer's Bauble got a reprint. This card is awesome. My favorite non-green ramp card. Just gonna say that. And then lands, lands, lands. Oh, Swift or Lightning Grease is in here just randomly. Yeah, that makes sense. Just put it with the lands. And then lands until the end. So I mean that's the Commander D&D set. I actually really like this last one. Last one was pretty crazy, but I do usually like blue and black decks, and white can be fun, but usually when it's in Commander, you're not really playing it the fun way if you're playing it that way. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Had fun. Hope to see you guys in the next one. So I'll see you later. Bye. I'll probably do a review of this maybe in the next video or talk about it or something. If you like it, I guess. If you won't give me some suggestions on what I can do better. Other than the camera and the lighting, because there's not much I can do about that right now. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.